You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
So excited you could join me today for part one of our Cabral HouseCalls. Love being able to check in with our community each and every weekend and answer as many questions as humanly possible. It's always a great challenge since I know that we're backlogged about, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks or so. But we're doing our best and we're absolutely getting to every single question that ever gets written in at our Ask Cabral page. And by now, if you've been listening to Cabral Concept, you know that you can go right over to cabralsupportgroup.com to get your questions answered daily. I check in there a couple times a week. My health coaches are there every single day answering your questions. And of course, if they ever don't have the answer, they just send over a screenshot of your question to me. And in between client appointments and meetings and all else that goes on recording podcasts, I do answer those questions as well. So we're here to help. Let us know how we can help and try to give back as much as we can. So what I'd like to do right now is save the rants for the actual questions this week. So what I'm going to do is get right into question number one, and we'll take it from there. So Coty's up first. Coty wrote in asking, "Hi, Dr. Rawl, your podcasts have quite literally been a life changer for me. I wanted to know your take on SARMs and weight training. Their initial creation was for medical issues such as bone loss, muscle dystrophy, and other things, but applied to a healthy diet coupled 3 to 4 times a week in the gym at a very low dosage. They have been shown to increase muscle mass, retention, increase endurance, fast recovery for joint health. Sorry for the drawn-out question, but I'm interested to hear your unique insights." All right, great question, Coty. This has never come up before, so I'm happy to speak with you about this today. So what SARMs are selective androgen receptor modulators. I typically forget that an acronym. But a couple things to know about them is that they do not have as many androgenic properties, which means that they don't get converted over to estrogen, testosterone quite as easily, but they do mimic the effects of items such as testosterone. Because of that, they're illegal for competitive sporting events that do USADA-based testing. So a specific type of testing, meaning like those people that are into, well, obviously professional sports as well as mixed martial arts. At the UFC, at least, they test for these specific things. So the nice thing is that they do not have the same negative effects as your typical testosterone-based anabolic steroids, which means they don't cause as many cancer-based issues, as many liver issues. They don't decrease sperm count as much, don't lead to the same level of impotence. They don't decrease testicular size. What else? They're not going to make the muscles quite as large. So they're not going to stretch out those tendons or create tendon-based tears as much. They're not going to convert over to dihydrotestosterone, which means probably not as much hair loss or hair growth on the back or any other part of the body, the face. Don't typically lead to as much acne. So there's a potential for them to be quite useful. Who would I recommend them for? Possibly in the future, those in their maybe 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. Here's why. I still do not recommend them in most cases for people below the age of 60. And the reason is that we can very easily and safely, and from a much more natural perspective, raise your levels of testosterone and I would say DHEA, because as a subsequent process of raising anabolic hormones in the body, then your body won't need to convert as much dihydrotestosterone over to testosterone, and then hopefully not as much to dihydrotestosterone, DHT, which can affect the prostate swelling, inflammation, prostatitis, as well as hair loss, of course, balding and acne and other specific things like that. Okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. Why would you want to do this? Well, you'd want to do this just because of what Coty wrote in, like loss of muscle mass, loss of libido, loss of endurance, loss of all those things. So what I would need you to do first, because this is not something that you should take lightly, meaning like For example, you could use a good quality glutamine, good quality creatine, your daily nutritional support shake, adding additional hemp protein, things like that with the 3 to 4 days a week of exercise, right? Of resistance training. And that probably is all you need for most people. Now, then if that's not enough, we can look at things such as a natural low dose of DHEA. And then only after that, if we're not able to get levels, but again, we can. Like, guys come into our practice all the time, women as well, but specifically guys in their 40s and 50s, and they're like, my testosterone's too low. Even we see guys in their 30s, but their testosterone's not too low. There's other issues going on there. But their doctors are saying, well, we can start doing testosterone-based treatment for you. The problem is this. You start doing testosterone treatment in your late 30s or 40s, you're most likely not getting back your own natural testosterone, which is a shame that too many doctors are putting men on bioidentical hormone treatment. Please don't do that. Raise your testosterone naturally. Zinc, vitamin C, getting all the amino acids your body needs, sleeping more, exercising every other day, not every day. There's so many great things that we can help people with. Here's the deal. Run a thyroid adrenal hormone panel, look at your testosterone, DHEA, cortisol. If your cortisol is too high and your testosterone is too low, well, we don't just give you more testosterone. We lower that cortisol naturally, and that will naturally increase DHEA and testosterone. So again, always test. Remember, for, I think it's like $300 or $400, it's somewhere around there. You can do the adrenal hormone test, which will give you the testosterone, or if you want to add the thyroid in there, you could add the thyroid adrenal hormone. I mean, for that type of money, to get our recommendations and everything for supplements on how to boost that, I just think that for your safety and for the next 30, 40, 50 years of your life, you want to find out your actual biological levels first before you supplement, and then you can figure out what dosage you may need as well. I know that wasn't the answer you're probably looking for. You're right that there's good benefit being shown, but at the same time, we can do things a lot more natural than using these lab-based things like lagenadrol and other forms of SARMs as well. All right, so hopefully that kind of answered your question. Diana is up next. Love your show. Just found it a few weeks ago and have been catching up on older episodes. Just finished listening to the podcast on candida, I just finished listening to a different podcast on candida, which shall remain nameless because I have a major issue with how the alternative medicine professional who made it represents all traditional medicine professional as quacks. In this podcast, the person stated that all antifungal medications cause candida to switch from a yeast to a fungus, which is the harmful opportunistic form. The only way to combat fungal candida, according to them, is to take undecylenic acid, which we use as well, to encourage candida to resort to its yeast-based form. All other fatty acids, including monolaurin, are in some way antagonistic to candida and will force it to its fungal state. I've also read conflicting opinions about whether candida can acclimate to herbal antifungals or not. Some say herbs merely discourage candida rather than killing it, so it's not possible for an adaptogen. Others say candida can get used to herbs. All right, let's see what the question is here from Diana. Obviously, you believe in herbal approach and also include the undecylenic acid, explaining how antifungals work. Thanks for everything you do. All right, Diana, I totally understand what you're saying. For everyone who doesn't know what Diana is saying, this is what she's saying. There's someone on a different podcast who's only recommending one specific form of an antifungal, which is called undecylenic acid or undecylenic acid. We use it as well. Specifically, it used to be in our SF722. Now we switch to a much more comprehensive one because that's what we like to do. For the same price, give you more. And that is called Candida Support or Candida Complex. Let me look at that. Actually, I know it off the top of my head. It's called Candida Support. Okay. We had to switch it from another one because the name, believe it or not, legally wise, they're calling Candida now a disease. And so therefore we can't use the word clean or cleanse or removal or anything like that, or legally you're at fault for saying that you treat disease, which of course in natural health we do not, right? We look at the underlying root causes and we let conventional medicine pretend that it knows how to cure disease, which is hilarious in the first place, since disease is simply a name that we love to give to a certain set of symptoms that we can then prescribe some type of pharmaceutical-based drug for it, or at least be able to bill insurance. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So here's the deal. We've known for thousands of years that we can eliminate candida overgrowth and fungal overgrowth by using certain herbal-based products. Keep in mind, I use herbs, but I use a three-prong approach, which is why I believe that we are one of the only protocols which will allow you to truly get rid of candida and not have it come back. And the reason I can say that is because we lab test before and we can lab test after. Not everyone chooses to do the after, but we show the clinical results. So this took me a long time to figure out. I had candida well before I was 17, before I was sick. I just didn't even know that I had it. And then I had it till about 25, 26 years old. I had been on candida diets for that decade. I had been on all sorts of antifungals, this, that, and the other thing. But when I started to combine biofilm disruptors with herbal-based protocols with no probiotics, but specifically products such as Saccharomyces boulardii, and then work them up from gentlest to strongest over 12 weeks, I was able to eliminate it. There's no way you're getting rid of candida in a 1-dose diflucan or even 2 weeks of nystatin. My colleagues who choose to use nystatin instead of herbal-based protocols, they still do 6 weeks of it. So please don't believe just because you've knocked it down that you've got candida under control. And for anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about, I've done so many podcasts on how to truly get rid of candida. I did a podcast on why candida diets don't work. If you want to figure out how to get rid of bloating, gas, digestive issues, all of those things, everything to do with your GI tract, please check out those podcasts. And if you just say, you know what, I just want the answers, I want you to give me the answers, then you will run the organic acids test and the stool test. If you're able to do one more, you would do the food sensitivity test. That will tell you for sure what's going on with your GI tract. We will then tell you exactly what to do. Again, we don't treat disease. We look at the underlying root causes and rebalance the body. Whoever you were listening to on that podcast simply has an agenda. That's okay. It's not a problem. They mean well. They're trying to do good work, right? And, a lot of people can benefit from the undecylenic acid that, again, we believe in as well. But here's why we can tell them for sure that's not the only thing that works. We've run many, many labs before we switched actually to the organic acids test that we love, that shows specifically how to treat these things inside of a petri dish, even with your own form of candida. So we can look at things such as oregano and grapefruit seed extract, and we can look at the undecylenic acid. We looked at uva ursi. We looked at so many great things. We can see that all of them kill yeast and fungus, okay? So I do agree that yeast can move from yeast to a fungus to a mold, right? There's actually more than just 2 ways that yeast can affect the body. And there's a lot of people that believe that as a fungus starts to ferment in the blood, that could actually lead to things such as cancer. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there are people who have theories as to that could be one reason for cancer. Here's my take on it. I mean, really, if you have digestive issues or you believe you have candida overgrowth because of skin rash, brain fog, irritability, mood-based issues, learning disabilities, etc., just run the organic acids test. If possible, then run the stool test on top of it, meaning run both. And that will give you the need to know, what you need to know. And then we'll give you the full protocol, working all 12 weeks. It gets rid of it. We teach you how to add things back in, repopulate the gut. It works so well. And again, if you just want to say, I don't want to purchase it from you, I would say totally fine. And just look at what we use, copy it, and, get the results. That's it. I mean, somebody has to supply you with the protocol. So, it honestly does not matter if you end up getting it through Equilibrium Nutrition or you go with another provider. I just want to see you get results. We've had dozens of people come into our practice. They've done Candida protocol 3 other times, and it hasn't worked. We explain to them, ours is different. And we know you've tried things before. I tried many things before, dozens of things before. I tried colonics, and then I realized later, well, that's not working in the small intestine. And so there's so many things that I tried, right? And how we learn, how we eventually get better is we learn more and more and more. And as we learn more and more and more, we implement what works, we stop doing what doesn't work, and then finally we heal the body. It's like that for everything. It's like that for relationships, right? Hopefully you only mess up so many times in relationships before you get it right. Same with your career. You don't know what you want to do typically at 18 years old or even 22 years old. Maybe you have an idea, but it hasn't come to fruition yet. Give yourself time, try things, recalibrate, get back on track, and get it together. That's it. All right, Anton's up next. Anton's writing in, hi, I'm really excited and interested in alternative medicine. I live in Sweden, and here we don't have any big titles in functional medicine. Everything that isn't conventional medicine is alternative, and the only thing that is kind of accepted is the non-conventional way of chiropractic, massage, and traditional Chinese medicine. So my question will be, my dream is to be a naturopathic doctor or something similar and open a clinic like yours and help people in an alternative medicine way. I feel I'm a little lost as to how to make it here in Sweden. Is the only option to move to Canada or the US to get the ND degree and start my clinic there? Thanks for all your valuable information. I use you as my life coach. You are my idol. Thank you so much, Anton. Really appreciate that. It means a tremendous amount to me. I never thought that I'd be in this position. Certainly not from this. Where I grew up, would never even be, not even a twinkle of a dream of something that I thought I would be able to achieve in life, that I would have impact on other people. It just never my wildest dreams. So this is actually an amazing opportunity for me to be able to answer your questions. Here's a great one. Great question coming in from Anton. Here's what I see. And I'm someone with a degree, right? And I've spent my life accumulating certifications, all these things. Getting a degree is absolutely fantastic. It is. And I'm not going to say that it's not, all right? And I work with a lot of NDs in terms of mentorship, and I work with a lot of MDs, and there's two ways to go about this, okay? You can get your degree as an ND or an MD. If you want to live in Sweden, you could become a medical doctor, but practice functional medicine. There are a lot of people that do that. That is possible. However, I want to give you an easier way that might be more on track with your style of thinking, because I decided not to go into conventional medicine because I didn't see it work for me. It doesn't mean that it does not work. It works, but only for acute-based medical care for the long term, right? Because if you're telling me you have an autoimmune issue and they put you on biological drugs to shut down your immune system, is it really working? I mean, honestly, is it really working? No. It's shutting down your immune system so your body no longer attacks itself. But do you know the host of other issues that can go wrong with your body when you shut down your immune system? It's just that, to me, is not a conventional medicine strong suit. A conventional medicine strong suit is you're having a heart attack, or you need to have shoulder surgery, or you need to have your hip replaced, or whatever it might be, right? And then conventional medicine shines. So if you want to be a surgeon, if you want to be an emergency medical doctor, I think it's phenomenal. I really do. Honestly do. And also, if you want to become an MD and practice functional medicine and with some naturopathy or natural medicine, that's great too. That's the actual, I wouldn't say it's easy, but the easier way is to become an MD and then practice more functional-based medicine, just, not necessarily taking health insurance and all those things, which is its own headache. But here's how the rest of the world should really practice, the more of the real world. I honestly believe by getting a certification in health coaching in some degree, I'm not even going to tell you which one. By now we have our own coming out this fall. But again, it's like the same thing with nutritional supplements and lab testing. Use whoever you would like. Just use the Cabral concept and me as a sounding board for basically just one way to move forward in life. I'm just giving you one way. I just believe that with social media, I know so many people who don't have a degree as a naturopath, don't have a degree as a medical doctor, don't have a degree as a chiropractor, etc., and they have enormous practices, and they work with people all over the world through Skype or some type of video-based channel. Or they're a registered dietitian, and they practice some type of functional-based medicine, or they use nutritional supplements. Again, registered dietitians are not taught how to use nutritional supplements. By the way, chiropractors, not taught how to use nutritional supplements. Looking at a chiropractor and having them practice functional medicine is not taught in chiropractic school. So you have to understand, almost everyone is getting their education out of their school. When I went for my degree 10 years ago in naturopathic medicine, they were not doing a lot of the new lab testing that they're doing today. Where did I learn that? I learned that from my mentor, and I learned that by studying with the Institute for Functional Medicine and also getting 4 more certifications while going for my degree while studying naturopathy. So even while I was studying, I knew that the material was not going to be enough. Because I have this obsessive personality which says, I'm taking this all the way. I'm taking this as far as I could possibly take it. And I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And so I feel like I'm just at the beginning of how far I think we can take this and the community can take this with natural medicine. Let's not call it functional medicine. That's its own different thing, okay? I want to integrate all forms of medicine. I want to tell you when's best for conventional, Ayurvedic, traditional Chinese medicine, naturopathy, everything, right? We want to integrate it all. No one is the best. I'm going way off on a tangent here, but this is important. Okay, people build enormous practices as a health coach, get additional certifications like I did. I studied with many different practitioners and their certifications with learning how to do functional medicine lab tests, okay? That's what you can do. You can then work with people as a health practitioner, all right? You're not licensed. You don't really even want to be licensed, okay? And the reason is then you have to deal with the whole medical establishment. You have to use electronic medical records and all sorts of other things. Help people The goal is to help people. If you help people, they will tell others. If they tell others, you will have more business or more patients or more clients than you could ever know what to do with. Just help people. Listen to your heart, listen to your gut, study natural health. Even when you get the certifications, keep reading additional books. Don't read articles, read books. Go deep on the information. All right, I have to move on. You probably can read between the lines, and you can probably understand that you can be a health coach anywhere in the world and help and serve so many people. All right, M's up next. M's asking, hi, Dr. Ball, I suddenly have really bad allergies. Is there a cure for this? Don't want to rely on allergy medicine forever. Yes, there is. And if you go to stephencabral.com/podcasts and type in allergy, you will find episodes on that page at stephencabral.com/podcasts on all things allergy if you type allergy in the search box. Okay, let me cut to the chase. Feel free to listen to those previous episodes. I can't recommend this enough. I mean, if you are interested in natural health, if you're interested in going deep on all facets of how the human body works, if you can go back, you can spend one extra 30-minute block a day besides that day's podcast. You will give yourself a tremendous education, I believe, again, in my biased opinion, on natural health. But here's what we have to look at for allergies, okay? Allergies can be a lowering of cortisol. Your body cannot produce the same type of, or norepinephrine. Your body can't produce the same type of natural elevated response to allergens in the environment, meaning like they can't create the same level of anti-inflammatories. All right, that's one. That's often why people's allergies are worse at night. I'm going to go through all the allergies. You can check that on a previous podcast. The second reason is body being depleted of B vitamins, glutamine, vitamin C, and zinc. Okay, allergies can become large because of that. Another reason, GI-based issues, okay? Gastrointestinal-based issues. When the permeability of the gut becomes larger after antibiotic use, stress, alcohol, just life, there are many different reasons why. Again, I've talked about that on previous shows. You can begin to spill additional proteins in the bloodstream. As that happens, Th2 immunity starts to typically increase, and inflammation increases. Allergies can begin to increase as well. A couple things you can do. Run an organic acids test. Run a hair tissue mineral analysis. That's called our starter testing kit. It's a great one to do. You get $100 off that, and it gives you all of your vitamins, gives you all of your minerals, looks at your overall electrolyte response. Pretty amazing. You could also run an adrenal hormone lab on top of that. Of course, you can run the whole Dr. Ball Big 5 and really figure it out because you'll look at food sensitivity testing, foods that are causing you allergies as well. You look at your omega-3 levels in terms of inflammation. People with higher levels of EPA and DHA, especially EPA, have less allergies. They have less inflammation. So the Dr. Ball Big 5 is, of course, the best way to go, but I know that that's not in everyone's budget, so you will decide what works best for you. And, of course, we have a great allergy protocol, which gets to the bottom. Now, it doesn't fix the root cause, all right? I want everyone to know that. The root cause, unless it's vitamin C depletion and a large amount of histamine-based production based on genetics, well, the allergy protocol will absolutely fix that then. But the allergy protocol is to get you through your really tough times and maybe continue on with it at a lower dosage while looking at gut-based dysfunction and other things as well, like candida overgrowth, SIBO, etc. So that is the long and the short of it. Great allergy-based protocol, as well as you looking into the advanced testing as well. All right. Hopefully that helps. Let me get in one more question today because I want to see that we get in at least 5-6 questions. Is there a natural way to prevent motion sickness when in a car or plane? Also, what are things to do once I have the symptoms of nausea, dizziness, or headaches? Okay, so real important here. I have talked about this multiple times in the podcast. Just go to stephencabral.com/podcast. Simply type in motion sickness or nausea or vertigo. Okay, that will give you your answers for that. Let me get to one more question. That was from Judy. Sorry, and the previous one was from M. The reason is that I want people to get used to using that search bar because I've gone in depth on that, right? And so we're answering questions from the beginning of May on May 11th, right? The day you get this is going to be August 11th, okay? August 11th. So we're exactly 3 months behind. So I do want to make sure that people are checking that out. Plus, I give such in-depth answers on helping to balance vata, which causes that motion sickness, on using things such as ginger. So check that out. It'll be much more in-depth, Judy. And the last one, okay, this is a longer question, but I am going to answer it. My 9-month-old has developed flushed red cheeks over the last 2 weeks. They begin to get a little scaly and very dry. The doctor says it was eczema, and I'm so upset and lost as to how it happened because I follow most good gut principles. And she goes through all of the great things that she does. And you can check this out at stephencabrall.com/918. Check that out today. That's where all the things such as the allergy protocol will be linked up, and all of the show notes are at stephencabrall.com/918. You'll be able to read all the questions in depth there. So she's saying she's beyond frustrated as to how their 9-month-old got eczema since she's doing everything by the book. He was mixed fed from about 2 weeks old because he kept losing weight, exclusively breastfed. And I was able to mix some breast milk with organic cow's milk formula for only 6 months. Now he gets his milk from organic cow's milk formula. All right, well, I don't even need to go on. I'm going to read the rest of this here. But most likely he has a cow milk allergy. Again, I don't want to make light of this, Angela, because you're writing in and you clearly have this. But most doctors don't tell you that. I can't begin to tell you how much healthier people would be if they removed cow's milk from their diet and their children's diet as well. I'm not preaching. I'm not trying to come down on anyone. I'm not. It's pervasive in our culture to use cow's milk. I cannot begin to tell you how much I see it on a food sensitivity test. It is the number one IgG food sensitivity. Angela, I know it's been a while since you wrote in this question. I wish I could answer it for you sooner. All you have to do is keep your child on that cow's milk for a couple more days, then take the food sensitivity test. And then you will be able to prove to yourself with your own data the food sensitivities that are causing your child eczema. And the number one that causes eczema is cow's milk dairy. The number 2 is eggs, specifically egg whites. Okay? People don't know about this. I'm just trying to share this information. I have nothing against cows. I think they're great animals. I have nothing against milk. I think it's totally fine. I have nothing against eggs. All I'm doing is sharing with you that these things affect people from a clinical perspective. And the only reason I know them is because I've run thousands and thousands of lab tests. So I want you and your 9-month-old to get the help that you both deserve. And now that your child's 9 months, they'll be able to wean off of all the formula and all the cow's milk. And then at that point, if we need to do a little something to fix the gut, maybe a little bit of the clean gut probiotic, then we're going to do that. And then we're going to help your child get well and not have to deal with that eczema for life. All right? So let me know, Angela, by going to cabralsupportgroup.com if I can add more to that, and if I can help in any other way, my team and I would be happy to do that. Because you're doing so much and you're such a great mom, and like you're trying to do everything you can for your child. You've just been led astray by mainstream media to believe that cow's milk for children is a healthy thing. And I've talked about this before on previous podcasts about how cow's milk is not a health food. Now, I'm not calling raw cow's milk, and I'm not talking about sheep or goat. Those are different stories. But even cows in general, I can't go into it today. Check it out. I've talked about it in depth on previous podcasts. Just know right now, it's the number one food sensitivity I see in my practice from running thousands of food sensitivity tests. If you want to run your own, just go to stephencabrall.com/918. We send them pretty much anywhere in the world, and coming this fall, we'll be sending them to Europe as well. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Cabral House Call, Part 1 today, and be sure to tune back in tomorrow for Part 2, where we'll be answering more of our community's questions. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stephencabrall.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.